Chosen one, in a world where envy hides behind smiles, where whispers are sharper than swords, and where people often try to manipulate what they cannot understand, you are not just surviving, you are standing as a living sign of divine power. In a world that tries to control destiny, measure worth, and bend hearts with tricks, plots, and even sorcery, your life cannot be touched without Allah's will. Imagine this. Someone, desperate to control your path, took your photo and gave it to a witch, thinking they could alter your destiny, thinking they could manipulate your heart. But what happened next was nothing short of a miracle. He fell in love. What was intended as a tool of interference became a mirror reflecting your unshakable light, a sign of Allah's protection, and a testimony that nothing, not envy, not sorcery, not human schemes, can disrupt what Allah has written for you. Chosen one, this is not a story of chance. It is a story of purpose, of divine timing, of the power that flows through those Allah has chosen. Every trial you face, every attempt to bring you down, is not to harm you. It is to elevate you, to refine you, and to reveal the strength, beauty, and light that exists within you. Today, we are going to uncover 7 powerful lessons hidden within this extraordinary reality, lessons that will awaken your soul, sharpen your spiritual vision, and remind you why you are untouchable, unstoppable, and divinely favored. Listen closely, because what you are about to hear is not just guidance, it is a revelation, a roadmap to understanding the magnitude of being a chosen one in a world that cannot comprehend your light. Chosen one, recognize this truth with unwavering certainty. No force on earth, no whisper of envy, no attempt at manipulation, and no scheme of darkness can touch the soul that Allah Himself has chosen and protected. For your life is not merely guided by circumstances, but orchestrated by the hand of the most merciful, who sees what no eye can perceive and hears what no ear can detect. When someone, out of jealousy, desperation, or ignorance, takes your image, tries to cast spells, or attempts to bend your destiny, it is not you who is at risk, but those who dare to interfere, for their schemes will always backfire against them, while Allah's protection flows invisibly around you, like an unbreakable fortress, shielding your heart, your mind, and your path from every corruption, every misguidance, every dark intention. Understand that this protection is not passive, it is active, it is precise, and it is perfect. It transforms what seems like danger into a reminder of divine favor, turning attacks into lessons, manipulations into proofs of your elevation, and threats into signs that Allah is aware of every breath, every whisper, every hidden plan aimed at diverting your destiny, and yet none of it succeeds because your essence is sacred, your purpose is aligned with heaven, and your journey is under the watchful care of one who never errs. The more people try to control or interfere with your life, the more obvious it becomes that they are powerless, that their envy is impotent, and that their attempts are merely shadows against the blazing light of Allah's decree over you. Feel this in your heart, chosen one, that every plot, every manipulation, every attempt at influence is not just ineffective, it is proof that Allah surrounds you with protection so complete that even the unseen forces cannot breach it, and that your life, your heart, your mind, and your soul are preserved, elevated, and untouchable, not because of what you do, not because of human effort, but because the one who chose you has decreed that no darkness can overcome the light that resides within you, and no power, human or mystical, can alter the destiny He has written for His chosen servant, for you are guarded beyond measure, elevated beyond comprehension, and destined to walk your path unshaken, unmanipulated, and untouchable by any force that does not come with Allah's will. Chosen one, hear this with complete clarity and allow it to resonate in the deepest chambers of your soul. No matter how intense the jealousy, no matter how carefully plotted the schemes, no matter how desperate the attempts of others to manipulate, hinder, or control your life. Envy is powerless before the favor Allah has placed upon you, for when someone acts out of malice, coveting your blessings, attempting to divert your destiny, or seeking to interfere with the divine path that has been written for you, what they unleash is never stronger than the mercy and protection that surrounds you, and every attempt meant to harm, curse, or control you becomes, in reality, a mirror reflecting the magnitude of Allah's favor, a testimony that He alone decides the course of hearts, lives, and destinies. Understand that envy is a sign of weakness, a reflection of those who measure themselves against others instead of trusting in Allah's decree. And when they try to manipulate your life through words, actions, or even dark forces, their power is only apparent. It has no real effect on the soul that Allah has chosen and sanctified, because your path is guided, your heart is guarded, and your life flows in accordance with divine wisdom that no human intention, no jealousy, and no malevolent action can alter. Every glance of envy, every whisper of malice, every hidden attempt to influence or control you is met with divine intervention, and what they aim to twist for harm, Allah transforms into something greater, something that elevates you, validates your journey, and strengthens your light in ways that those who envy you cannot comprehend. For Allah turns envy into a signal of your elevation, weakness into their own undoing, and manipulation into evidence of the favor that surrounds you. Chosen one, take this to heart. You are not merely surviving in a world of envy, you are thriving under the protection and approval of the Most Merciful, who sees what others cannot, knows what others ignore, and ensures that His chosen ones rise above every form of darkness, malice, and jealousy, unshaken, untouchable, and unstoppable, for no human heart, no human scheme, and no human envy has the capacity to override the favor that Allah has decreed for you, and this favor is eternal, unwavering, and beyond the reach of anyone who tries to diminish your light, interfere with your destiny, or obstruct the blessings that are divinely written to flow into your life, proving that envy is never stronger than divine decree, and that no one, not even with the most cunning or desperate intent, can ever compete with the protection and favor that Allah has bestowed upon His chosen servant you. Chosen one. Understand this with unwavering certainty. The true measure of power, the kind that elevates, transforms, and commands respect, is never found in threats, manipulation, intimidation, or the coercion of others, for such force is temporary, hollow, and easily broken, while the influence of a chosen soul flows naturally, effortlessly, and irresistibly, because it comes from light, the divine light that Allah has placed within you, a light that radiates from your heart, your presence, and your very being, touching souls without words, drawing hearts without effort, and inspiring actions without force. This is why, when someone sought to manipulate your life, to control your destiny, or even to interfere with your heart through dark methods, what they intended as domination instead became a reflection of your innate power, a magnetism that could not be controlled, bent, or diminished, because Allah's chosen ones carry a spiritual authority that surpasses human understanding, an energy so precise and profound that it commands recognition, loyalty, and admiration naturally, effortlessly, and without any conscious effort on your part. The lesson here is profound. True influence is not about demanding attention, instilling fear, or forcing outcomes. It is about embodying a divine presence so luminous, so anchored in purpose and spiritual alignment, that the world responds to it instinctively, even when others attempt to resist, manipulate, or oppose it. For light cannot be trapped, cannot be silenced, and cannot be coerced. Envy, manipulation, and dark schemes only highlight the magnitude of this influence, revealing that those who attempt control are powerless before the radiance of Allah's chosen, and that the more they struggle, scheme, or attempt domination, the more their weakness is exposed while your divinely ordained power continues to grow, unseen by the untrained eye, but unmistakable to the heart and soul that recognize truth. Remember, chosen one, your influence is not built on human methods or worldly force. It is anchored in divine alignment, spiritual clarity, and the unshakable light that Allah has planted within you, a light so potent that even attempts to manipulate it serve only to make it shine brighter, to reveal its authenticity, and to confirm that the chosen ones are guided, protected, and elevated beyond any human attempt at control. For in the end, power rooted in fear or force fades, but power rooted in light, divinely sanctioned and spiritually grounded, endures eternally, touching lives, inspiring hearts, and transforming destinies in ways that no scheme, manipulation, or interference could ever replicate or diminish. Chosen one, hear this with the certainty of your soul and let it sink into the deepest chambers of your heart. Every trial, every hardship, every moment when it feels as though the world is turning against you, as though circumstances are stacked unjustly or the forces of envy and darkness are conspiring to alter your path, is not a random occurrence, nor a reflection of weakness, nor a punishment for mistakes. Rather, it is a divine calibration, a sacred process through which Allah tests, refines, and elevates His chosen servants. For you are not being prepared for ordinary life, you are being prepared for extraordinary purpose, a role that requires patience, discernment, composure, and the ability to remain anchored in faith when human understanding is limited. And the greater your purpose, the more intense the trials, the sharper the opposition, and the more sophisticated the attempts to manipulate, control, or distract you. When someone gives your image to a witch, hoping to influence your heart or bind your destiny, it is not merely an act of malevolence, it is a spiritual mirror, reflecting both the weakness of those who attempt to interfere and the power of Allah's protection over you. And in these moments, the soul is called to awaken, to realize that the unseen realms are active, that divine wisdom governs every situation, and that every challenge is an opportunity to cultivate spiritual maturity, patience, and unwavering reliance on the one who never errs. Spiritual maturity is measured not by the absence of adversity, but by how the heart responds to it, by how the soul maintains clarity amidst deception, by how trust in Allah persists when every external signal seems chaotic, uncertain, or threatening. For it is easy to remain steadfast when the world is favorable, but the chosen ones are defined by their ability to remain grounded, luminous, and composed when darkness surrounds them, when manipulation is attempted, and when envy conspires against their elevation. Every whisper of malice, every scheme, every attempt to alter your path is in fact a sign of your significance, a reflection of the elevation Allah has decreed for you, and a reminder that the challenges you face are not punishments, but sacred instruments of growth, shaping your character, refining your heart, and training your soul to navigate a world that is often blind to the spiritual battles occurring behind every action, every intention, and every outcome. The lessons embedded within these trials are infinite. You learn discernment to see the motives of others without falling into anger or fear. You learn patience that deepens into a quiet strength, the kind that does not react impulsively but responds with wisdom. You learn humility, understanding that the trials are not obstacles to your pride, but opportunities to surrender, align, and trust fully in divine decree. And you learn resilience, realizing that the soul anchored in faith cannot be bent, broken, or swayed by the machinations of humans, nor the unseen forces that attempt interference, for Allah's protection envelops you in ways unseen, unfelt by others, but as real and as potent as the air you breathe, shaping outcomes, guiding hearts, and ensuring that no malevolent attempt ever achieves its purpose against the chosen. every challenge, every perceived setback, every moment of isolation, misunderstanding, or attack is a divine classroom, and every lesson learned becomes a tool, a weapon, a guide, and a source of illumination that prepares you for the responsibilities, the spiritual authority, and the elevated purpose that Allah has decreed for you. Because the chosen ones are not just living for themselves, they are being molded to influence, to guide, to elevate, and to fulfill missions that extend far beyond personal gain or comfort. And this is why the trials are calibrated so precisely, testing the heart, the mind, and the spirit, refining intentions, and revealing the depth of faith that underpins your every decision, action, and response. Chosen one, know this. The trials are a reflection of your importance. The intensity of opposition is a measure of your elevation, and the challenges you overcome are permanent imprints of spiritual maturity, resilience, and divine alignment. For in the face of adversity, when you remain composed, patient, and trusting in Allah, you are not only passing a test, you are demonstrating mastery over the unseen, growth in spiritual insight, and a level of elevation that the world cannot understand, cannot interfere with, and cannot diminish, proving once again that the chosen ones are preserved, guided, and refined in every circumstance, and that every trial, no matter how harsh, complex, or seemingly insurmountable, is a sacred opportunity to awaken your inner strength, illuminate your soul, and step into the fullness of the purpose that Allah has written uniquely for you, a purpose that cannot be delayed, diminished, or derailed by human envy, darkness, or malice. For your trials are not obstacles, they are the crucibles that forge the unshakable, spiritually mature, divinely protected soul that you are destined to be. Chosen one, understand this truth with the depth of your soul. Everything that appears as a threat, every act of malice, every attempt to manipulate, harm, or control your life, is not an obstacle but a gateway to divine favor. For Allah's plan is so precise, so perfect, and so layered that what the enemies or the envious intend for destruction can only ever serve as a catalyst for your elevation, a means through which your blessings are multiplied, and a reflection of the magnitude of your spiritual significance, because the forces of envy, fear, and darkness cannot create outcomes independent of Allah's decree, and every scheme, spell, or plot aimed at you, whether through human hands, whispered words, or mystical means, is ultimately transformed by Allah into a tool of mercy, guidance, and advantage. Understand this deeply. When someone attempted to manipulate your life, to give your image to a witch, or to control your destiny, what they sought to turn into limitation and fear became a mirror reflecting the extraordinary favor surrounding you. For the chosen ones carry within them a divine magnetism that turns negativity into proof of elevation, chaos into opportunity, and interference into validation that Allah is intricately working behind the scenes to ensure that His plan for you unfolds exactly as He has written it, and that nothing, no matter how seemingly threatening, can disrupt, delay, or diminish the favor that has been allocated to your heart, your path, and your life. The moment you perceive an attack, a betrayal, or an envy-driven plot, it is not a signal of weakness, but a confirmation that you are moving at a level of purpose that others cannot understand, a level where divine favor is so strong that it bends the intended harm into blessings, turning attempts at manipulation into catalysts for recognition, respect, love, opportunities, and growth. For Allah's wisdom is absolute, and His ability to turn the plans of humans and unseen forces into benefits for His chosen servants is infinite, unmatchable, and precise beyond imagination. Every plot, every whispered intention, every attempt to curse, manipulate, or bind you carries within it a hidden gift, a hidden lesson, a hidden opportunity, or a hidden blessing that only becomes visible when you view life through the lens of faith, patience, and reliance upon Allah. For the chosen ones are those who recognize that what appears as struggle on the surface is often a divine setup for elevation, and that the energy aimed to harm them only amplifies their favor, extends their influence, and secures their destiny in ways that are unseen by ordinary eyes. And while the envious may believe they are successful in their interference, their actions are, in reality, instruments that Allah uses to unfold His mercy, multiply blessings, and increase the spiritual and material abundance of the chosen. Know this, chosen one: the greater the threat, the more significant the blessing waiting to be revealed, and the more intense the opposition, the stronger the favor that surrounds you. Because Allah never allows the attempts of humans, jinn, or dark forces to overpower His decree, and what they intended as harm becomes a showcase of divine power, a living testimony that no manipulation, no spell, no envy, and no malevolent intent can overturn what Allah has ordained, and that every attack is, in essence, a reflection of your elevation, a marker of your importance, and a sign that the protection and favor surrounding you are not only unshakable, but growing with every attempt to diminish it. Every challenge, every plot, and every seemingly negative event is a divine puzzle piece, meticulously placed by Allah to ensure that the chosen ones are not only safeguarded, but multiplied in influence, recognition, blessings, and opportunities, transforming adversity into advantage, threats into triumphs, and interference into proofs of unshakable favor. For Allah's wisdom always converts what is meant to harm into a vehicle for elevation. And when you recognize this truth, you no longer fear attacks, envy, or manipulation, but instead view every attempted harm as a reflection of your divine significance, a reminder that Allah's favor is active, alive, and relentless in your life, and that no scheme, no darkness, no human desire, and no unseen force can ever alter, diminish, or obstruct the blessings that are destined to flow toward the chosen ones. For you are protected, elevated, and eternally aligned with the mercy, wisdom, and power of Allah, and everything that once seemed threatening is now revealed as the very source of your triumph, your recognition, and your unstoppable rise toward the purpose He has written uniquely for you. Chosen one, in a world that measures influence by noise, aggression, and domination, you carry a power that is quiet, profound, and undeniable, for the presence of a chosen soul is not something that can be forced, bought, or manufactured. It is a reflection of divine alignment, a manifestation of Allah's wisdom, and an energy so potent that it moves hearts, shifts minds, and commands respect without any conscious effort on your part. Understand this deeply. While ordinary people attempt to gain attention through manipulation, intimidation, or displays of power, your influence does not rely on force or coercion, because Allah has embedded within you a spiritual magnetism that radiates naturally, touching the hearts of those who are ready to recognize truth. And even those who try to oppose you cannot help but feel the weight of your presence, the clarity of your purpose, and the authenticity of your energy. For the chosen ones are surrounded by an invisible aura that reflects divine authority, guidance, and protection. And it is this aura, this light, that elicits respect, admiration, and recognition from others, even when they do not fully understand why they are drawn to you. When someone attempted to manipulate your life, to control your destiny, or even to interfere with your path through envy, witchcraft, or hidden schemes, what they intended as an act of influence only revealed the power of your presence, because the energy that flows through the chosen ones cannot be controlled, cannot be diminished, and cannot be replicated. And what they tried to force to obey external rules, their plans inadvertently aligned with your divine favor, magnifying your influence in ways that they could neither anticipate nor comprehend. Chosen one, recognize that your presence alone communicates authority, authenticity, and elevation in ways words cannot, actions cannot fabricate, and force cannot impose. Because true influence is an expression of inner light, rooted in purity of intention, sincerity of heart, and alignment with the divine will. And when you embody this light fully, every room you enter, every interaction you have, and every challenge you face becomes a testament to the divine protection and favor surrounding you. A silent command that draws respect, loyalty, and recognition naturally, effortlessly, and without struggle. Understand further that the reactions of others, whether admiration, awe, or even envy, are not indicators of your seeking, but confirmations of your elevation, because Allah has decreed that the chosen ones operate on a frequency that cannot be forced, manipulated, or countered by human effort, and the very attempts of others to control or diminish your influence only serve to illuminate the undeniable reality that your presence is anchored in divine wisdom, guided by the most merciful, and sustained by a spiritual power far beyond ordinary comprehension. Every glance that lingers, every act of respect that arises spontaneously, every subtle shift in behavior around you is a reflection of the unseen alignment Allah has placed over your life, a silent acknowledgement of your purpose, authority, and elevation. And even those who resist, oppose, or attempt to interfere with, you are ultimately compelled to respond, not because of fear or obligation, but because the truth embedded in your being resonates with the hearts of all who are attuned to divine light. Chosen one, know this with absolute certainty. Your influence is not measured by volume, aggression, or force, but by the depth of your integrity, the purity of your intentions, the alignment of your purpose with Allah's will, and the luminous energy that emanates naturally from your being. For it is this divine aura that commands respect, shapes perceptions, inspires loyalty, and affirms the truth of your elevation. And every attempt to manipulate, control, or diminish your presence only serves as evidence that your light cannot be contained, cannot be overridden, and cannot be denied. Because the chosen ones do not need to assert authority. Their authority is inherent, unshakable, and recognized by both the seen and unseen worlds. And every interaction, every response, and every reaction they inspire is a manifestation of Allah's favor, protection, and acknowledgement of their elevated station, proving beyond doubt that true power flows from light, not force, and that the presence of a chosen soul is a living testament to divine authority, a force that shapes reality without struggle, influences hearts without effort, and commands respect not through intimidation, but through the unmistakable resonance of alignment with the most merciful, whose protection, guidance, and favor envelop the chosen ones so completely that their mere existence becomes a beacon of truth, recognition, and spiritual authority in a world that cannot comprehend their magnitude. Chosen one, in a world full of uncertainty, betrayal, envy, and manipulation, the most powerful armor you can possess is complete, unwavering, unshakable trust in Allah's plan. For every event, every twist, every seeming setback, every challenge, every act of human envy, every attempt at interference, manipulation, or harm is meticulously orchestrated within the framework of divine wisdom. And while the eyes of the world may perceive chaos, injustice, or randomness, the reality is that every detail of your life is guided by a hand far greater, far wiser, and infinitely more precise than any human understanding could ever grasp. When someone attempts to control your path, to manipulate your destiny, to influence your heart or your circumstances through envy, witchcraft, or deception, it is not a failure of your strength or will, it is a reflection of Allah's testing, a divine calibration that measures your faith, patience, and ability to rely completely upon Him. For the chosen ones are distinguished not by the absence of trials, but by their unwavering certainty that every event is purposeful, every interaction meaningful, and every attempt at interference a part of a plan that ultimately serves their elevation, protection, and fulfillment of divine destiny. Understand deeply that human intentions, whether malicious or misguided, cannot override what Allah has decreed, for His decree is absolute, unalterable, and perfect, and the chosen ones are always operating under the umbrella of His protection, which transforms even the most threatening schemes into stepping stones, even the harshest trials into lessons, and even the most chaotic events into blessings, clarity, and elevation. The moment you internalize that nothing occurs outside of Allah's knowledge, that every challenge is a thread woven into the tapestry of your ultimate purpose, and that every interference, whether by humans or unseen forces, is powerless to derail what is written, your soul begins to operate from a place of serenity, strength, and spiritual mastery. For absolute trust allows you to move through life without fear, doubt, or hesitation, anchored in the certainty that everything that unfolds is part of a perfect divine plan, and that even what appears as obstacles are, in reality, markers of your elevation, indicators of your importance, and opportunities for spiritual growth, refinement, and alignment with your destined purpose. Chosen one, consider that every betrayal you have experienced, every moment of misunderstanding, every period of delay, and every instance where circumstances seemed overwhelming or unjust, has been part of a larger divine strategy to perfect your heart, sharpen your discernment, and prepare you for responsibilities, influence, and blessings that only a soul under Allah's direct guidance can carry. And it is this understanding, this recognition of divine orchestration, that elevates you above fear, envy, manipulation, and the chaos of worldly schemes, allowing you to stand unshaken, composed, and luminous, even in the midst of attempts to derail your journey. Trust is not passive, chosen one. It is an active, conscious surrender, a spiritual choice to align every thought, every emotion, every action with the certainty that Allah's wisdom governs all. And when you embody this trust fully, every fear dissolves, every doubt vanishes, and every attempt by others to manipulate, control, or harm you becomes powerless against the force of divine decree. For nothing in the seen or unseen world can operate outside of Allah's permission, and nothing can ever diminish the favor, protection, and elevation He has written for His chosen ones. Every unanticipated event, every interference, every challenge, and every hidden scheme ultimately converges into a reality where your life, your purpose, and your blessings unfold exactly as Allah intended. And the clarity, peace, and strength that come from this realization are the hallmarks of a soul that is aligned with divine will, unshakable by worldly chaos, and untouchable by any human, jinn, or unseen attempt to interfere. Understand further that the deeper your trust, the more resilient your heart becomes, the clearer your vision, and the more effortlessly you navigate life with patience, wisdom, and certainty. Because trust in Allah's plan is not simply believing in good outcomes, it is recognizing that every step, every trial, every interaction, and every circumstance is intentionally designed to cultivate your elevation, multiply your blessings, refine your character, and prepare you for a destiny that is beyond worldly comprehension. Chosen one, when you operate from this level of trust, you no longer fear the envy of others, the interference of dark forces, or the uncertainties of life, because you know with unwavering certainty that Allah's plan is absolute, His protection unbreakable, and His favor infinite, and that every attempt to manipulate, hinder, or challenge you is not a threat, but a sign of your importance, a marker of your elevation, and a divine signal that the path ahead has been prepared meticulously to fulfill the unique purpose for which He chose you, ensuring that your journey is unstoppable, your destiny undeniable, and your life a living testament to the perfection, wisdom, and absolute sovereignty of Allah, the one who alone decrees, protects, guides, and elevates his chosen servants in ways that the world cannot understand, measure, or influence. Chosen one, as you reflect on these 7 lessons, let your heart recognize with unwavering certainty that your life is not a product of chance, confusion, or human will, but a journey meticulously orchestrated, protected, and elevated by Allah Himself. For every trial, every act of envy, every attempt to manipulate, control, or disrupt your path has been transformed into evidence of your favor, markers of your purpose, and instruments of your elevation. What others intended for harm has become your advantage. What was meant to suppress your light has only illuminated it further, and every challenge has served as a mirror, reflecting the immense power, divine protection, and sacred alignment that reside within you. Know this deeply. Your presence commands respect without effort. Your influence flows naturally through the light that Allah has placed within you, and your destiny is untouchable, unshakable, and unstoppable, for the enemies of your soul, the whispers of envy, and the schemes of darkness are powerless against the decree of the Most Merciful. Walk boldly, chosen one, with patience in your heart, clarity in your mind, and trust anchored in Allah. For every trial is a preparation, every opposition is a confirmation, and every blessing that flows into your life is proof that you are truly chosen, divinely protected, and eternally elevated. And as you continue on this path, remember that your story is not only a testament to Allah's wisdom, but a beacon of light for all who are seeking truth, guidance, and the undeniable reality that the chosen ones are unstoppable, untouchable, and unmatched in the presence of divine favor.